In this video, I will show you how to use a spreadsheet to compute limits. First, choose a spreadsheet program. I'll be using Google Docs, but any spreadsheet program will work in essentially the same way and will do the same things. To begin, open a browser and go to docs.google.com as shown in the picture. Then select Sheets. Let's take a look at the limit we wish to compute. What we're looking for is the limit as x approaches 1 of the square root of x plus 3 minus 2 all divided by x minus 1. If you take a look at the graph, you can see that as x approaches 1, the y value doesn't exist. That's because in the previous slide you saw that the function has an x minus 1 in the denominator, so x cannot be equal to 1. However, it appears that as x approaches 1 from the left and from the right, the y values seem to be approaching a common value, which tells us that the limit probably exists. Let's go back to our spreadsheet and see if we can't figure out exactly what it is. Your new spreadsheet should look something like this. I've given mine a name by clicking at the top of the page and typing in the name that I want. I chose limit example. You can leave it blank if you wish. Now let's create our table. In the first two columns, type at the top x and f of x. These will be our labels so that we can keep track of what numbers we're using as our inputs and what numbers we're using as our outputs. Since the limit is the limit as x approaches 1, I'm choosing some values for x that are bigger than 1 and approaching 1. The values that I've selected will probably be good enough for us to determine the limit. If it isn't, we can always go back and add more. Now it's time for us to tell the spreadsheet program what our function is. Under f of x, start by typing the equal sign. The equal sign lets the spreadsheet know that what's about to follow is a formula that we're going to plug some numbers into. Because our function is a fraction with a lot of stuff in the numerator and a lot of stuff in the denominator, I'm going to start with parentheses. This set of parentheses will enclose the numerator. The next thing I need is the square root. If you're unsure how to enter a square root in this program, just start typing the first couple of letters that you think will be the name of the function. Here, I typed SQ and some choices popped up. This one, SQRT, has an explanation that seems like it's what we want. You can click on the name of the function here to finish filling it in, or you can type it out yourself. Once we've completed the name of the function, square root, SQRT, a box pops up to tell us the way that the spreadsheet program expects to see things plugged into the function. As you can see, the square root should have parentheses and then the value, the number that you wish to take the square root of. The next thing that appears under our square root is x. We need a way to tell the spreadsheet that I want to take the square root of something involving our x values. So, click in the box right next door to the function itself where the x value is that we care about. Notice that it automatically fills in the name of the cell where the x value is, A2, that's column A, row 2. And it even gives you a little pop-up that explains what the square root of that number is as you're going. We don't need that, but it's a helpful little tool. Now, let's finish typing in our function. As you type, the spreadsheet helps you keep track of your parentheses by adding a little bit of shading to the parentheses as they get closed and making them bold. I finished typing in this function by adding the plus 3, closing the parentheses, subtracting 2, then closing the parentheses that enclose the entire numerator, use the slash key to indicate division, and then in parentheses, x, remember x is the cell A2, minus 1, and close the parentheses. Now press enter. When you do, the contents of the cell will be replaced with the numerical value of the function. Notice that in the bar at the top, the original thing that you typed in, the full function, still appears, but the value of the cell is the actual numerical value of that expression. Now, here's where the magic happens. This is what makes spreadsheets a good way to compute limits. See the little box right there in the bottom right corner of the cell when it's selected? When you hover your mouse over it, the mouse icon turns into a plus sign. While the mouse icon looks like a plus, holding down the button, drag down so that all of the cells next to our x values are enclosed in this little dotted rectangle. When you release the mouse button, the spreadsheet will automatically compute the values of the function for those x values. Since the x values that we considered were all bigger than 1 and approaching 1, these first two columns only compute the limit as x approaches 1 from the positive side of our function. To compute the limit as x approaches 1 from the negative side, we'll need a new chart. So, select everything that we have just done in both column A and B, copy it, and paste it into the adjacent columns C and D. As you edit the x values in our new column C, the values of f of x will update automatically. The values of f of x in both columns seem to be approaching the same number. We can safely conclude that the limit as x approaches 1 of the square root of x plus 3 minus 2 divided by x minus 1 is equal to 1/4. To learn more about the functions that you can use in a spreadsheet, click on the Insert menu at the top, come down to Function, and you'll see a list of commonly used functions. Most of the ones you see here are mainly used in statistics, but when you click on More, a new page will open showing a list of all of the functions that the spreadsheet can handle, as well as information about how to use them. Good luck using spreadsheets computing your limits.